Hey everybody, Disgruntled Specialist here. We are on the crafting and refining series. We're just about wrapped up, but we're going to have to cover cooking and furnishing. So today we're covering cooking. Um, I am going to brush over a small portion of cooking, mainly because this series is geared towards new players and basic leveling. Um, the foods that we're going to go over we're not going to cover. I'm sorry, are um, the like strength, dexterity, intelligence. I will give a brief overview of them, but it exceeds the scope of what we're trying to cover today. So um, there are some basic things we're going to talk about: recovery foods, bait, dyes, and food components. So let's start off with recovery foods. So recovery foods are going to be your primary kind of health generating food types. If you're not familiar with games like this, you're going to take probably some damage while you're learning and even further on. And this is how you recover health. There are health potions, but they're usually health potions are generally they have a delayed like cooldown, so you can't use them back to back. In New World, it happens to be 30 seconds, and they're expensive to make or expensive to buy. So food is generally your alternate option, something that regenerates health over a longer period of time, and is used primarily out of combat. Can be used in combat in New World, but just it's a more of a I guess to just kind of manage your health, as opposed to a health potion is like, oh no, I'm gonna die, and you hit the button and it saves your life and you kill it, and then you eat your food afterward of battle to recover all the way. So recovery foods are gonna be huge. Recovery foods, probably one of the simplest things we've talked about in the series as far as crafting. So for tier 1, we see that we have a primary, which is a required tier 1 raw food. This can be any tier 1 raw food, any of them. I do have a few here I can show. So we have our game food, our nuts, our mushrooms, eggs, pork, and milk. Some of these items are gathered. Some of them have to be acquired through like chests. If you highlight over an item, it'll tell you where it's derived from, so you can find more. So just as an example, so this game meat derived from rabbits, nuts derived from nut clusters, which you can find out in the woods actually fairly frequently. I missed them for a while. They look like a pine branch with pine nuts on it. Mushrooms, they're from spore blooms, toad pods, and other fungi. Eggs are from turkey and turkey nests. Pork is from boars and pigs, and then milk is from provision containers. So that's one of the chests. Now you're probably asking, well, how does it change as we go up? So basically, it doesn't, for the most part. So your primary is always going to be a tier equivalent raw food, and then all the secondaries are completely subjective. You can swap out any of the secondaries, and as the tier goes up, an ingredient is added. So for our tier 2 food, our primary is now our tier 2 raw food, but we have one additional component. When we jump up to a tier 3, we have to have 3 different ingredients. One has to be a tier 3 raw food, and then the others can be subject to change. One thing to note, your secondary ingredients, since they are free to change, the higher the tier you use for your secondaries, the higher that percentage is. So for instance, my tomatoes and my poultry thigh are both tier 5 food in comparison to a tier 3 light meal. I'm getting an 81% crafting bonus. But there is a word of caution. If you start using your higher grade ingredients, when you get to the next tier, you're not going to have a tier 4 if you're using tier 4. If I use my tier 5s, when I get to the 150 cooking, I won't have any tier 5 foods to use. So use that wisely. If you are in a desperate need of needing a huge stack of whatever food you're using to heal yourself up, to keep on your person while you're questing, and you just want to try to get that bonus, you can use your higher level ingredients. I would recommend not doing it and just farming what you need, but just keep that in mind. Use that wisdom to your power. So these, as you go up through here, this is also going to be how you get a lot of your experience. Our satisfying meals are actually 300 cooking per unit. That's pretty huge. We'll go into some of the other stuff that can maybe help with your experience gain in a minute. So the next thing is bait. This is only really if you're into fishing. Basically, just know, and we'll cover seasoning blends in a minute. I'll show you how to get that. That's actually in our crafting or cooking components. Um, but game meat can be used for freshwater, and then fish fillets can be used for saltwater. Mix that with some seasoning blend. It gives you a bigger chance to, or a higher chance to give you bigger fish. So, just a small section here. This could be used to level up your fishing. That's the only reason I add that. This is our section on our foods. These are not recovery foods; these are stat foods. So obviously, strength through constitution here is pretty simple and self-explanatory. Its primary stat it gives you is whatever it's listed under, and it'll give you usually some secondary stat. Trade skill foods are a wide variety of foods that can increase gathering, increase refining, increase production. It gets crazy. This is why this is a whole nother section. We're just gonna just glance over it. This is not beginner. This is starting to get more advanced. Going, hey, I'm gonna go farm this because I'm about to craft this. So we're gonna wait for that for later, just because it's out of scope for what this series is about. Next thing is food components. So food components are going to be something you need for higher tier recipes. You're going to need, you're going to have a chance to make pies, or you need pastry crust for that. You're going to have some dishes that require bread, some that require sausage, pasta, etc. So really, these are just going to be random as well. And the only reason they're included in this is because they are a cooking level 5, so you'll get introduced to these very quickly. And it's just important to keep note that, like for instance, your seasoning blend is here, and this uses a series of seasonings that you will gather from gathering herbs. So the little tiny, like purplish blue flowers. It'll give you a lot of hyssop, and you'll get other little seasonings to go with it. So just keep that in mind. Not only that, realize that most of these will cross over. So, like for sausage, it also requires a seasoning, not the blend, the actual seasoning. So if you convert everything you have into a seasoning blend, you're gonna have to go back out and farm more seasoning to make your sausage. And sausage can be made with any raw meat. And higher tier does not impact this in this case because it's not actually a crafted item. It's just you're literally making one of your crafting components. So there's no bonus for that. So just use your lowest level meat as long as you don't need it for something you're specifically crafting. So with that said, and this also serves as a tier 1 meat. That's one thing I wanted to add. It serves as a tier 1 meat. So that's our food components. Just keep it in mind. Flour also, just so you know, keep it out for like corn, things like that. That's how you have to convert a grain type into flour. The last thing to really cover, and we're just kind of blowing through this because this is actually probably one of these simpler crafting stations that you get to work with as far as the different builds and things you can make, is dyes. These actually give pretty good experience towards cooking, and you'll get these from different flowers. There's specifically these like really big flowers, big stem in the center, gold pollen at the top, and they come in a wide variety of colors. They will give you pigments. So as you are running through New World and you see these, go ahead and collect the pigments. It's a nice side experience. All you need is water and the pigments you're getting, and pigments don't weigh a lot. So just anytime you see those flowers, just pick them up, get them. I didn't even target this, and I even have the ability to make buttered rum dye at the moment. So that's cooking. There's really not much else to it. The biggest focus is going to be on your recovery foods. I would not really get too crazy with these because these are the more like expensive foods to craft because you gotta get a lot of ingredients or different ingredients. So if you're interested, go for it, but we'll cover that in a later section. that's basically it. There's cooking for you. Our next series, our next episode in the series will be the final episode of the series, and we will be going over furnishing, and that's about it. So I hope you all have a great rest of the day, and if you really liked the video and felt that it was helpful, please remember to click the subscribe button, the bell icon, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.